Aiden Frost wasn't looking for trouble. He was a quiet college kid, a gamer known for one thing, insane loot luck. On a rainy night, grinding through an old MMORPG, he expected nothing more than a few experience points. He was in an abandoned dungeon, facing a forgotten side boss nobody ever bothered with. But the moment it fell, the screen glitched. A shimmering object dropped, the Eclipse Shard. No player had ever seen it. Rumor was, it was a relic removed from the game during the alpha test. Its icon pulsed like a dark heartbeat, the item description flickering between unreadable symbols and 3 chilling words. Bound to reality. Host required. Before Aiden could even think to take a screenshot, the lights in his room went wild. His monitor cracked from the inside out, and the shard, it floated out of the screen. It spun in the air like a miniature dark star, humming with digital static, bathing his room in a violet light that bent the shadows into impossible shapes. Aiden froze, his heart hammering against his ribs. "Is this R?" he whispered. He reached out a trembling hand. The shard snapped into his palm with a blinding flash of light. A searing cold shot up his arm as runes, like glowing circuits, imprinted themselves across his skin. He didn't read them, he felt them, a language whispered directly into his soul. Then the world warped. His posters melted into pixelated streaks. The floor rippled like a broken texture in a game. His computer chair duplicated into a dozen glitchy versions before snapping back into one. His phone buzzed like a trapped hornet. The screen lit up with a message from no app he recognized. Host accepted. Reality sync. 1%. Panic seized him. He bolted out the door, into the quiet suburban street, only to find chaos. Neighbors were stumbling out of their houses, confused. Traffic lights blinked random colors. Street lamps flickered with that same purple static. And then he saw them. Particles, just like in the game, drifting through the air like glowing dust motes. A growl, low and gravelly, like a corrupted sound file, echoed from the bushes. A gremlin, a low-level pest from his RPG, crawled out. It moved with the jittery, unnatural motion of a broken game asset. Then, with a flash of violet code, 3 more spawned behind it. Trembling, Aiden raised his hand, a primal instinct taking over. He shouted the first word that came to mind, a command he'd used thousands of times in game. Stop. A small burst of light exploded from his palm. It wasn't a firecracker. It was a real spell. The gremlin burned into harmless, fading particles. His hand smoked, the runes crawling further up his wrist, glowing brighter. The shard pulsed in his palm, and his mind was flooded with fragments of deal abilities, cooldowns, even HUD elements that hovered faintly in his vision. A new message appeared in his mind. Reality sync. 5%. Suddenly, the sky cracked. Literally. It split open like a pane of cosmic glass, revealing a swirling purple fog beyond. Patches of his world began to change, replaced by regions from the game. A floating rock platform materialized over the park. A twisted metal monolith erupted from a neighbor's lawn, and in the distance, a spiraling tower, one he recognized from the late-game world map, pierced the clouds. His phone rang. It was his best friend, Maya. Her voice was a scream. "Aiden, there's a giant wolf made of shadows in my backyard. What did you do?" He didn't hesitate. He sprinted towards her house, dodging cars half glitched into the asphalt and mailboxes that flickered like unloaded textures. He found Maya cornered by a shadow fang wolf, a mid-tier monster. Without a second thought, Aiden cast Flashbind. The spell froze the beast in a cage of light just long enough for him to tackle Maya out of the way. She stared at him, her eyes wide with terror and awe. "Your eyes stayed in. They're glowing." He didn't know how to tell her that casting the spell felt natural, too natural, as if the shard was guiding his hands, using his body as a controller. They regrouped at his house, the world outside descending into a digital nightmare. The shard projected another message into his mind. Reality sync. 20%. Raid bosses preparing entry. Host must stabilize. He finally understood. The shard wasn't just leaking parts of the game into his world. It was merging them, and he was the host, the one chosen to control it. But he wasn't a leader. He was a strategist, the guy who planned from the shadows. The world didn't care. As floating islands drifted overhead and NPCs wandered confused through the streets, Aiden called his online guild his real friends. He showed them his glowing arm, the runes pulsing with every word. They didn't doubt him. The evidence was all around them. Together, they started treating the shard like a raid mechanic. They analyzed its patterns, its sync rate, the strange whispers it was now feeding into Aiden's mind. They weren't evil whispers, but guiding ones, like a tutorial overlay giving him spawn rates, upcoming threats, and weak points. Maya watched him with growing concern. "It's rewriting you, Aiden," she warned. He insisted he was fine, but he could feel it. His emotions were flattening out, his instincts were sharpening, and his thoughts were running faster than any human should. Reality sync, 40%. The first major event began, the Rift Storm. A swirling vortex of purple energy opened above the city, roaring with thunder that sounded like game audio played in reverse. Low-tier mobs poured out at first, then elites, marching like a raid opening sequence. Aiden and his friends fought back. He blasted enemies with an arc beam he didn't know he knew. Maya, gifted a fraction of his power through shard resonance, wielded a barrier spell. The other friends conjured rune bows and elemental bursts. As news helicopters filmed giant creatures storming the city, Aiden knew this was just the beginning. At 60% sync, the shard revealed a deeper truth. It wasn't a curse. It was a reset artifact, designed by the original MMO developers, but scrapped when they realized its true power. They had feared players could influence reality too much. Its code had survived, buried deep in the game, waiting for someone with the right synchronicity. Aiden wasn't random. The shard had been tracking players for years, and his strategic mind made him the perfect host administrator. He could either stabilize the merge or let Earth collapse into digital chaos. But there was a final stage, the Sovereign, an in-game raid boss that would spawn at 100% sync, with the power to rewrite the newly merged world into a utopia or a wasteland. Aiden had to face it, but using his power came at a cost. With every spell, his mind integrated further with the shard, turning him into something not quite human. Half code, half consciousness. The city skyline began to bend and liquefy, buildings reforming into medieval towers. The merge was destabilizing everything, including people. Classes and roles started imprinting randomly on the population. Some gained buffs, others temporary debuffs like slowed perception. Maya grabbed him, pleading, "You have to stop this before it consumes you too." But he had already seen the shard's forecast. If he didn't fight the Sovereign, nothing would survive. At 95% sync, the sky shattered. The Sovereign descended, an enormous titan of obsidian and starlight, orbited by halos of glitching code. Its roar vibrated through Aiden's bones. His friends froze in terror. The shard pulsed violently, its final message burning into his mind. Final event. Host required. Failure equals world reset. Maya cried out, "Aiden, don't. You'll lose yourself." But he stepped forward, feeling his humanity thinning like mist. He could already see the world in HUD overlays, analyzing everything with cold and human efficiency. The battle was cosmic. Every spell shook the ground, every blow distorted reality. Aiden's magic was wild, powerful, but each cast cut another piece of his soul away. The Sovereign slammed him into the ground, cracking asphalt into floating fragments. Aiden retaliated with Nova Ren, a spell no player had ever unlocked, tearing through the Titan's armor. The shard was fusing with him now, runes embedding themselves into his chest, his voice echoing with a synthetic harmony. Maya ran to his side, tears streaming down her face. "Remember who you are," she shouted. For a single, precious moment, he did. Late-night gaming sessions, laughter with friends, the smell of rain outside his window, the simple, irreplaceable warmth of being human. Anchored by that memory, Aiden unleashed one final spell, Reality Surge. He channeled every last ounce of his remaining humanity into one brilliant, blinding blast of light. The Sovereign shattered into spirals of code and starlight. The sky sealed itself shut. The world stabilized, half fantasy, half reality, a beautiful, impossible merger, but safe. The shard in his hand dissolved into dust. The runes on his skin faded, and Aiden collapsed into Maya's arms, exhausted, but himself again. The world was forever changed, but it survived, and somewhere, deep in the newly merged world, a faint whisper lingered on the wind, SYNC, complete.